Now then, let's you and I get a few things straight. My name is Bella Yaga. I'm a witch.
Great! You agree that you'll teach me magic, and I agree to help you out.
If you work really hard, I shan't do anything to hurt you.
A love potion for the boy next door? All of these are pretty useless to me.
The spell I believe you're looking for is somewhere towards the back.
Hang on, you actually talk?
Of course I do, just not very often.
In this household, there's one rule that's crucial. You must on no account for any reason ever dare disturb the mandrake.
Don't be rude.
Don't disturb me. I'm here to say.
What? Earwig?
A hole left by a witch can only be filled by a witch.
Hello and welcome to this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast, the Studio Ghibli's latest film, Earwig and The Witch. I'm actually hopefully joining me today, Dylan Blyant.
Hello, happy to be here to talk about animation. Japanese animation.
Yep.
Japanese CGI animation.
Yep. And I'm also happy to be able to talk about some anime. My good friend, Kieran Martin.
I don't like it, the fact that this is the anime we're talking about. Like, this is... It's disappointing. Dylan just needs to watch Attack on Titan. Like,
I was about to make a joke about that, but you got
just watch all of Attack on Titan for me so I can talk about it when Season 4 ends. Thank you.
Alright. Please be aware we will be freely discussing anything and everything about the plot, themes, and ending of the film, so if you haven't watched it, come back later, or prepare to listen to a lot of nanetsu.
Fucking hell.
I'll tell you why that joke's funny. So with that said, let's jump to our discussion of Earwig and the Witch, directed by Gorō Miyazaki, screenplay by Keiko, Niwa, and Imi Gunji, based on Earwig and the Witch by Deanna Wynne Jones, featuring in Japanese Kokoro Hirasawa, Shinobu Terajima, Etsushi Toyokawa, Gaku Hamada, Sherina, Munaf, and Yuji Ueda. And in English, Taylor Paige Henderson, Vanessa Marshall, Richard E. Grant, Dan Stevens, Kacey Musgraves, and J.B. Blanc. Important distinction because I watched the film in the native Japanese with subs.
Dylan,
I'm
so jealous.
Dylan, how'd you watch it?
So I watched it dubbed, and like, let's just get in. Kieran also watched it dubbed, but I just want to say that last night when we recorded a different show, and I mentioned I can't remember how it came, but I mentioned I had to watch it dubbed, and I just want to know whose decision and why it was that it appears that Village decided to do dub because that's where Kieran went as well, and then Ash, what theater?
I went to an event cinemas, which is just the equivalent of the Village.
But I'm going to say that's
in Queensland.
I
think it's because you're not in like a big city.
I just think, but also at the same time, I think it's a decision based off of, well, for my showing, it was a lot of, like, not a lot, but there was a couple groups of small families going.
Yeah. Lots of children.
And I think it's easier to get children to go if it's dubbed, even if the lip flaps are like fucking so bad. Like, they were just like the sync with the voice was just it was so off-putting the entire time.
I did find it so weird though because my cinema previously for like I can't remember what the fuck is that Rain movie called? That was the last anime movie.
Weathering with You.
Cinema. Weathering with You. That was subbed, right? So
but that was most likely because when it was initially released, they didn't do dub. A lot of those types of movies,
they don't do a dub till
they don't do a dub until
they release in America because they're heathens.
Yeah.
But yes, they say nonsensu, which is Japanese for nonsense. I assume they say nonsense in the lady
possibly.
at the start.
It's just maybe I don't know.
Okay, let's kick it off. Kieran, what'd you think of the film? Was that
like it felt so weird, right? It was such a weird movie to watch, and I know Ashley, when we recorded some other stuff last night, Ashley had a look in his face when I was like, I'm going to go see it tomorrow. And he's like, okay. And that didn't have any of the Studio Ghibli-ness that I love. Other than maybe the cat, Thomas, was like the only part that I was like, oh, the little demons as well. I was like, that's a bit Ghibli. But it didn't have any of the Ghibli. I think Ghibli, when I was looking through a lot of the times where Ghibli tries to do things that is either set or located, not in a Japanese setting, something always feels off. And this
a
felt,
lot of their movies are set in UK, like primarily set
Like
in
Porco
UK.
Rosso?
Porco Rosso's Italy.
Yeah.
Kiki and the Kiki's whatever the fuck.
Oh,
Kiki's
okay, no,
delivery service?
Okay, no, sorry, I will give you that. Sorry, that's my
Even
apologies. I will take
even
that back.
the other book from Diane what's
How's
it
Moving
called?
Castle?
Tales from Earth.
Yeah, How's Moving Castle. I was trying to
okay.
think of it, but I mean that's set in UK as well. So like,
Okay.
there's a lot.
All right, I'll take that back. I'll retract that statement. But at the same time, I just feel like this movie. If this movie's based on a book, what is this like? Well, I'd love to see what the narrative of this book is, because this movie feels unfinished. Like it largely feels unfinished. It sets up it starts with an opening, and you're like, okay, she's running away from these people in the yellow car. She has to put her child in adoption. Cool, whatever. That storyline doesn't unfold.
Cool, whatever.
Whatever. Like that storyline just does not unfold at all for the rest of the movie. Like literally, it's just a movie about nothing, honestly. And like the Earwig character is like not good. I don't like.
And if you've listened to previous episodes of Studio Ghibli's Animated Wonders on your podcasting services from here, ExplosionNetwork.com, you'd know that Ciaran is not particularly a big fan of Ghibli films of which the plot is
Slice of life.
nothing. Slice of life.
thing is,
yes.
this I wouldn't call this slice of life.
Slice of fantasy life.
It's certainly half a slice of life.
But like, it's not. But the thing is, right? It isn't set like slice of life. There's no. The narrative isn't written in the way. You know what? I'd be less like disappointed in what I watched if it was set as slice of life, because I'd understand what I get. But there was this whole setup of like, she's being chased by this yellow car that has teeth. Oh fucking hell! Really cool. She's being chased by these witches. It's like there's no world building done at all to explain what the witches mean, what's magic in this world, yada yada yada. It's just very, I don't know. It feels like this is supposed to be like a part one of a several part movie, and it doesn't explain that very well.
Yes. Well, I'll put some clarification in here. Obviously, it's based on the book by Diane Wynne Jones. It was released 2011. She passed away early 2011. It's a young children's novel or picture book. So there could have potentially been more books in the series.
I just brought it.
She unfortunately passed away, so there's no, no telling what the future would have held. Another important distinction before we continue is this is a TV film. It wasn't made specifically for the theatrical.
Yes. It released at the end of 2020 in Japan on a TV station, and it was a co-production between that TV channel and Ghibli.
Right, okay.
Andrew, the only other TV film Ghibli have on their resume or filmography is Ocean Waves, which was not rated very highly by us here at the Explosion Network. With all those added, Dylan, what do you think of Earwig and the Witch?
Well, I just got done writing my review, so I can just read you my final paragraph here since I have it open. Earwig and the Witch is not Studio Ghibli's worst film. It's certainly not Gorō Miyazaki's worst film either. However, it is such a forgettable movie. In a production line of highly memorable, loved and discussed films, this is just a rock skiing across the ocean, and it doesn't even make it to the other side. It just cuts to the credits before it gets there. So I mean, there was things I enjoyed about it to a degree. Like it was a bit abrasive to get into. So I like the opening, but I say at the start of my review that you watch, it's better going into this movie just going like forget everything from that first 5 minutes. In fact, I think this movie would be better if it just started, if they cut the opening. As cool as the opening is, like it's exciting, like witch, she fucking throws worms on the windshield, like that's all cool. But I think by the time you get to the end of the movie and you find out that none of that's actually important or what this movie is even about. Like this movie's got magic, but it's not even about the magic. So the fact that the movie starts with that, I think just sets the movie up for its own destruction. And I think the movie would have been better just completely deleting that scene, not setting your mind up to wonder. Because in the first 5 minutes, it introduces all these questions. It goes, cool witch lady of red hair. Who the fuck is she? I want to know more about her. She leaves a note that says, I'm trying to run away from the 12 witches. Your brain goes, 12 witches? Is that some like secret witch coven in England? I want to know more about that. That sounds cool. So for the rest of the movie, you're like, when are we gonna...
And they
like,
keep mentioning the witches every now and then. It's like...
Yeah, so it's. I think the movie would have been better without all of that, and you could have still done, tease that she was from a witch and stuff but just having that on your mind just kind of makes it hard. Also, I thought the Earwig / Erica, whatever part of the film we're talking about when we talk about her, but she's just a very abrasive character. Like she's very I wouldn't say she's not like it sounds weird to say because her whole thing is like she likes controlling everyone or whatever, and she wants to get her way, but not in like it's sort of spoiled brat way, but not quite crossing the line.
It's a very
like
manipulative way.
Yeah, but not like she's not like an evil.
She's
character.
not like a
She's
sociopath. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So and that kind of I find that hard to get with at first. But and interestingly, by the time I was starting to understand her, I guess, and you get towards the end of the movie, and I'm starting to think, oh, in reality, she's just a girl who's probably been longing for a family and has sort of covered up that pain with trying to control everyone, and by the time I'm thinking about that and having those cogs screw through my head, then she opens up the door, her mum's there, and it cuts the credits, and I go, right, so just as the movie's getting interesting,
exactly. No, exactly, where it's like, oh, so we're going to start diving into who her mother is and what the go with the witches is, and we start finally learning about what's the dynamic between the mandrake and the other witch, and what's going on there, and then it's just like, oh, that's the end. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it is. I think I wrote. I can't remember my exact line. I think my exact line in my review was something like, "The credits come at you like a 4x4 running a red light as you're trying to cross the road or something." I actually do not think that I've been so whiplashed by having a credit sequence to start in a movie as I did when they started in this. And literally, I've been saved. I nearly tweeted this, but I thought I'd just save it for my review and or this podcast. But literally, there's only like 5 people in the cinema with me, and I'm at the very front. The credits start rolling. I think it's like 10 seconds, and they hadn't even turned the lights back on because I think even the person in the projector is like, "Oh shit, it's over. What's going on?" But silence.
They need the lights down so you can see the beautiful credit sequence.
Sure. Credits rolling. 10 seconds pass. Dude at the very back goes, "Is that it?" And I think everyone else in the cinema, including me, just went, "Yeah, I mean, you spoke for all of us, really."
I agree. I think the thing that came to my mind when I was mulling it over was that was a really good pilot. I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of the series. And maybe that's the future for this, potentially. I mean, maybe that's when they went to CG animation because they plan to do...
CG is just...
How about we talk... I'll just finish my thoughts.
Yeah, sorry.
I enjoyed it overall. I think it was an enjoyable experience while you were watching it, but it doesn't really resonate or last very long. It's kind of fine. Again, like you said just before, it's not Gorō Miyazaki's worst work by any mile. I think there are inventive ideas and some cool animations in segments, but it's just missing that magic. And I'll just say, I don't think it would have been vastly improved by having it in 2D animation.
No, the least of its problems is the animation. It is a script problem first and foremost, and what's on paper is the problem. Like the animation style I found kind of hard at first to get into, but then 10 minutes passed and I was like, what? I wasn't even thinking about it anymore. Like it had that sort of weird hump to get over. But as much as I'm sort of shitting on it, I would say for the most part, I was into it. Like not loving it, but I wasn't bored. I was intrigued. I was questioning. I'm like, who's the mandrake? Are they really evil? They're kind of having slave labor here with this young child. That's kind of fucked up. Where's that going to go? It's like, but the thing is, like, lots of the more interesting questions I have, like, they're secretly witches in hiding or whatever, but then also random humans are just ringing up, just straight up asking for potions for the most mundane stuff. Please, can I have some more information about that? Like all the more interesting things I had never touched on in the movie, but
like even just the relationship between the Mandrake and the Witch, where I'm like, wait, you guys are friends?
Baba
Yaga and both witches, but mainly Baba Yaga and the Mandrake. Where I'm like,
Belly
where
Yaga,
at first
sorry.
you're like, yeah, where first I'm like, oh okay, you guys are in some kind of dynamic where she seems like she's working for him or is bound also to that house or something, but then you get to the point where it's like, no, they're in a band together and she was the drummer and he was the keys, and you're like, wait, what where is this dynamic spawned from then? Like, why is she so almost subordinate to him? It's just very like there's just a lot of like weirdness to a lot of the dynamics.
I think that might be a cultural thing as well, because I believe it's not an uncommon thing for people who not necessarily are in a relationship but live together, like they're roommates.
So because I wanted an answer to this while we're recording and couldn't help myself, I just flicked through the first part of the book here, and the book does not start with the motorcycle car chase. The book just starts with that morning when she's getting adopted. And when she goes up to her room to collect her stuff, she finds the note saying, 12 witches. But it doesn't have a flashback and it doesn't explain it at all so far. So
that
already,
was added.
Yeah, it seems. And already I'd say this is my preferred way to tell the story, because having the note makes you go, oh, that's a bit interesting. But it's not as... That opening sequence just... It grabs you too much. Like, it's too intriguing. Whereas the note's just, like slightly intriguing.
Even stuff down to like when she goes into their garage, catacomb, whatever that place was, and she sees the yellow car, and I was like, oh, this is interesting. They were the people that were chasing after the redhead witch. Cool. I'm looking forward to like them explaining why they were chasing after the redhead witch, or like, because clearly that wasn't like a friendly chase or anything like that. Like there was clearly like the mouth on the car was trying to like gnash or eat at her bike. It's like, I don't understand anything. Like I can't even read between the lines and kind of try and build my own understanding or connect dots with anything. It's just
there's a missing gap of information that's never explained. Yeah.
All right, so I just skipped to the end of the book. And
spoilers for the book, I guess.
Spoilers for the book. It does not end with the mother knocking on the door. It seems to end with kind of what we got in the movie, which is that she's in bed,
like
she's just ordered breakfast, Custard's here, they're all friends. It seems, what I'm gathering from my quick scan of the couple of pages here is that it's got to the stage where everyone in the house is friendly, like we saw in that jump ahead of time. Custard's there chilling at the house. She's now got this family, everyone's getting along. So to me, the book seems more like it is just straight up what I thought the movie was trying to be about, which is about a young girl just finding a family amongst the weirdest of places.
But yes, you need to read it so you can get the middle bit.
I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it. It's only
like,
it's only
also,
apparently it's only
pages,
like an hour or something.
Yeah, it's fucking short. So yeah, it was $7 by the way. If anyone wants to.
Did you ever feel like I've never like for character progression or for their characters to grow, it wasn't natural progression by any. It was almost like Earwig kind of just forced them to jump to the stage of like, let's be happy with each other. Like the witch clearly doesn't want to teach her magic still, and she immediately runs up and hugs her, and you're like, what? Like,
yeah, because she's a master manipulator.
I gotta be honest, one of the biggest
you
questions
saw how
I
she
have,
had the matron around her finger at the start of the film.
Yeah, one of the biggest questions I have, and I can't find it just flicking through that many pages, but I did not see any mention of music in what I just flicked through there, the first couple chapters. So I am legit wondering if the music part was actually added for the movie, and if that's the case, what is the connecting factor used for the Mandrake in the book? And because obviously in the movie they use the music as the connecting part to have the Mandrake like her as a child or whatever else. Even though the thing I found the weirdest, because I didn't love the music stuff, it kind of seemed like whatever, it's just a bit weird. But honestly, if I was to redo it, maybe this is what the book does, but I would have just had her really just be into reading, much how you see her reading at the start with Custard. And then the connecting factor between her and the Mandrake is their love for reading, which they sort of tease in the movie, but she's always sort of just shitting on his stuff. But I'm like, isn't that enough and could have been a cool, like, sort of connecting moment for Mandrake and her? Not the I don't know, the music stuff just seemed a bit... Because the music stuff seemed there to explain the red-haired mother more. Like, it's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, it seems... I don't know.
Or just to be a point of being like, oh, this is way more connected. Look at all these connections. They were all in our band.
I feel like I should mention again, Gorō Miyazaki was the one who directed this, who also directed Tales from the Earthsea, which was vastly different to the original source material.
Yes.
So-
That's... There was other things that just didn't line up. Like, there was the scene where she's playing the music and the mandrake starts looking through the walls at her. And for the rest of the scene, the two glowing red eyes are like in the walls looking at her. And then during that part, she talks with the cat about making the anti-magic potion, and then skips off to break into the thing. And I'm like, wait, does she just not give 2 fucks that this mandrake's watching, or
He's not going to do anything.
like?
It's pretty obvious to her at this point.
I will say, I
4 or 5
know,
days in. Yeah.
you know, me and Kieran have different experience of the voice actors to you, but I thought Richard E. Grant did he did a good job as
He
the
was the only
Mandrake.
character I liked. I really liked the Mandrake.
The Mandrake's great.
I was like, this is a cool character. I like his abilities. I like what he's trying to do.
I like how he gets embarrassed. He just heats up and gets...
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, it's quite,
Like,
that's quite
I
different.
like how he starts calling her Deerwig and stuff. I'm like, that's really wholesome and cute.
He likes
like
pie and fish.
He basically just he orders food from the most random places, not like actual restaurants or takeaway stores. He's like, get them from the news agency by the subway station.
Listen,
like,
I want you to get some toasted bread from Scouts in the forest.
Yeah.
Fuck them if they need their bread to survive. Yeah. All right, so let's touch on the art style. Obviously, very much a departure from the Studio Ghibli art style. Ciaran, I'm guessing you have strong opinions.
Oh, not strong opinions. It's just like I feel like I don't. The Studio Ghibli stuff with Studio Ghibli just didn't transfer into this style of art. With like stuff like the cook who was cooking the shepherd's pie back at the orphanage.
home. Yeah.
His massive nose is a very typical kind of Studio Ghibli thing because they've just always been Ghibli
I feel like
characters.
that's just any anime. The chef always has a giant nose, or
There's a giant fucking
or a
nose.
sailor. Like it's
And-
chefs, sailors.
in the Studio Ghibli like old former like 2D art style, it's a normal character design that looks charming. In this one, it looked a bit weird, where I was like, "What's the go here?" That looks a bit odd there. My biggest thing is I don't know if it's just Ghibli didn't want to put the time in to do it, or the voice actors didn't do it very well, or the CG is not as easy to do as much as 2D is, but the lip
Again,
flaps with the...
It was a cheaper production. Like,
yeah,
I
it
feel
was
like
a cheap
that's-
production.
I have a
but,
hunch
yeah,
it's the last option. I think it's harder to do with 3D animation.
Yeah, I
than
don't
it is
think
with
that's the
2D.
case.
I mean, I've never seen a studio animated 3D animated film in another language before, but I can't imagine that would sync up great. You know. But yeah,
I was trying to think if I have, because I found the lip syncing the worst at the start, and I'm not sure if it got better as it went on or I just got used to it. But
You got used to it.
because
It was still
the
pretty
opening
terrible.
scene where they're walking up the tower, I was like,
Yep.
this seems like seconds off from what they're actually saying.
Yes.
But,
yeah, where like the Japanese character like would be saying like a very long sentence, and the English would be like half as long, and it's
Yeah.
like, what is going on? Like it was just that was probably the worst part of it for me, was just the lip syncing and just how off it looked with the character models that kind of held the art style back for me, I think.
I'll tell you one thing though I do want to put in here. So as I said, I found the CG art style perfectly fine for knowing it was a TV cheaper production, right? I do want to though, because so Gorō Miyazaki's thing he did before this, he did a TV an anime series called, I just had to double check the title here, Ronja the Robber's Daughter, right? So this was a co-production of Studio Ghibli and Polygon Pictures and NHK, right? So this is a Studio Ghibli TV show, or at least a co-production Studio Ghibli thing. And Gorō directed that, and this is a CG anime. And from all the reviews I've seen for this, everyone says it's like good to pretty good, like from what I've seen. So I definitely would like to check this out to go, okay, like, is it CG just is a thing that Ghibli just doesn't go well with, or is it a dependent on time and budget and
I think
what they're
it's
trying
a
to make?
combination of it, them trying to blend the Studio Ghibli art style to this.
So the Hayao Miyazaki short, oh fuck, I forget the name of it. The one he did it like 5 years ago. Hayao Miyazaki did a short that was all CG, and that looks great. But I also think, like everything else he does, he took like 10 years to make it. So again, like any and all animation, CG is quicker, but still you don't get good animate. You know, like Disney movies take years and years and years. You know what I mean? Like, and they look fantastic for a reason. So I think CG animation, the cheaper and more rushed it is, the cheaper and more rushed it'll look. You know, so I wouldn't say I have a preference for what Studio Ghibli or animation studios should use. It's just like, if a thing looks, you know, like you can draw a shitty picture, you can CG animate a shitty picture, you know? So it's like, I don't know.
But yeah, I think mostly it was fine. Like, obviously, that first scene looked great. It animated pretty well. I think it's the hair that is the thing that stands out for me.
Or just the character designs in general just felt kind of weird.
Just the hair just doesn't look natural.
Oh, since you mentioned that opening scene, I just remembered. I thought the lighting in that opening scene was really good. Like the headlights and everything like that just stood out to me of looking really just like realistic lighting coming off the headlights and everything. So
with the hair, when she was like in her, like after she'd had a shower or when she was in her pajamas or something late at night where it was all kind of all over the place, it felt like they tried to do what they would normally do with like the when other characters in 2D have had like messy but kind of wet hair.
Yeah.
But just tried to make that in this 3D style and it just didn't work properly. It's almost like they were trying to bring the Studio Ghibli style into this 3D animation, and I just don't think it translated well. I think it just lost a lot of the charm and lost a lot of the lovability that a lot of the characters have in the 2D art style.
Yeah, which made it even harder to watch those credits because they're beautiful 2D water painted sequences or whatever, art cards or whatever. So touching on our Studio Ghibli animated wonders questions and things that we would normally do, what do you think are the themes from Earwig and the Witch?
I think it's as simple as I've said before. I believe it's supposed to be a rather simple story about a child finding a family. Like, I think it is as plain on paper as Oliver fucking Twist is to a degree. You know, like it's an orphaned child finding a new family. I honestly feel like the theme and story is that simple because it's based on a young children's novel that is meant to be that simple. I don't think there's anything too complicated thematically here.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I don't think there's like, or just like finding stuff you didn't expect to find, or you know, pretty normal Ghibli standard stuff. Okay, Ciaran, who's your favorite character?
Mandrake. I think Mandrake was just like I appreciated him as a character more. I think he got the most time to develop as a character and show a lot more likability to his character. Whereas the witch really didn't get that chance. I feel kind of meh about Earwig's character herself because I guess it's so far and devoid of what we really do. Like, what child, when they get clearly put into a place where they're going to be used as a slave, is instantly like, rather than like, hey, I'm going to try and find a decent way to peace out and like, I need to get out of here, is more like, that's fine. I'm going to work out how to get you both in my back pocket and then I'm good. Like, it's just like...
Well, I mean, I think at the start, she's like... She doesn't realize she's trapped, and she's like, oh, you're a witch. All right, teach me magic, and I'm going to trick her into teaching me magic.
Yeah,
and it's not until that night or whatever that she actually discovers she can't even open the window or anything like that, so...
And the front door's missing again.
Yeah. Like, she doesn't know that when she first gets there, and is like, oh, I've got the perfect plan.
Yeah. Dylan, who's your favorite character?
Mandrake, come on. I feel like we're all 3 for 3.
Yeah, I think it's 3 for 3 for the Mandrake.
Yeah.
They use him enough. I think they didn't overuse him. I think you know, I very much enjoyed him just walking through walls. Yeah.
Just being kind of creepy, but also kind of
even at the orphanage, not caring that these kids could potentially see his head going through the doorframe.
Well, I was wondering, I'm like, is that because Earwig's a witch that she could actually see his magic? Like,
sure,
you know what I mean? 'Cause
otherwise, all the kids would have been reacting to him like.
The thing is, I thought Custard saw something or had a reason to be super scared of him.
It's just Custard, scaredy cat.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay.
I will say
Custado.
that, like, Bella Yaga. Yeah, Bella Yaga. I was about to say Baba Yaga, but it's Bella Yaga. And I only remember that because it sounds like Baba Yaga. But, like, I think the problem with that character is just she never gets a moment of being likable. And by the end of the movie, where you're supposed to now understand.
She drums at one time. That was pretty cool.
That one time, yeah. And I kind of hate it because, like, Vanessa Marshall voices her in the English cast, and I'm a Vanessa Marshall fan because she voices Harrison Dula in Star Wars. So, like, I wanted to like the character. Of course it does. Of course it does. Star Wars or Fast and Furious. I gotta get there one way or another. But yeah, no, obviously Richard E. Grant did a fantastic job with the voice of the Mandrake in English version. Apparently, whoever voiced the Japanese one made you love him just as much. So it's like Mandrake was written well and acted well in both versions we watched.
Okay. And then, Kieran, what's your favorite moment?
I will say it's the end when she's talking about like how much has changed and like the Mandrake coming in to see what she wants and like organizing stuff for food and stuff. I thought that was sweet. And when I thought that was the middle of the movie, that was great.
I'm picking the same scene because I feel like my favorite scene is just where he pokes his head in and it's like, you know, she orders her food and whatever, and then when he goes to leave, and then she's like, "Whoa, I read the new manuscript," and she says how great it was, and then he goes all red and fumes up because he's like super embarrassed about hearing how great his book is, and then you get that slide of him like when she goes out for breakfast or whatever. It was like, was it the morning before? Anyway, this whole sequence kind of flows together, but like him reading a award he won or something in the paper, and then he's like getting all embarrassed over that. Just that whole 5 minutes right before the credits was probably the best part of the movie.
Also, just sorry, super quickly, Thomas was a really nice. I like Thomas the cat. He was okay.
Yeah, shout out. Cool cat decides halfway through the movie to start talking, like seeing this girl being abused this entire time, and then decides. But spinning off that, I did enjoy the sequence. Of course, I love the ending of the film. I think it's really a great sequence. But the other one that kind of stood out to me was them making the potion, the healer, the protection potion, and Earwig using all their training to grind everything up and find everything. I thought it was pretty well animated and that kind of stuff, and there was something weirdly satisfying about her slopping all that stuff on Thomas. Like, I thought that was not animated reasonably well.
Yeah, it was kind of gross, but I suppose that was the animation doing its job plus the sound effects.
So what do you think is the future of Studio Ghibli? Are we going to see more smaller projects like this to keep the studio running while Hayao Miyazaki continues to work on his final film? We assume.
I'm going to assume so because I couldn't find it, but I remember seeing some news story that said that this got quite, obviously got quite a high viewer number in Japan when it aired. So, like. And that would have been the important factor of the pudding, yeah. So I'm going to say yes. CG is probably open for Ghibli at this stage between this and that TV series I was talking about, where even though these are both co-production, this movie and that TV series. So plus, as I said, Hayao Miyazaki did that short, so they've definitely opened up that gate now. It's not like they're kind of testing it. It's like, co-production TV series. Now we've done a co-production movie with CG. It's like, well, okay, it's off to the races now, and fair enough to a degree, because honestly, it was like, if they don't do this, the studio is probably just going to either close, never make anything again, or maybe Hayao Miyazaki finishes his film and that was supposed to be the last thing, but I'm hoping they've got to a stage now where they would rather the studio's legacy continue, because especially when we talked about that documentary, it definitely felt like Hayao Miyazaki especially he would have rathered he would have rather
Continue.
the studio. Well, I don't know. Like it felt like he would have rather just
studio
have it
ends,
closed. Yeah, on him and say Takahata's like
Takashi.
sort of high. Takashi, sorry, high and these sorts of things, and not him
Just
being
Takahata
like.
was right. Hang on.
Sorry. I don't know. You're the boss. Come on, don't fuck me up if I'm
Yeah,
getting it
you're
right
right.
the first time. Thank you.
Takahata.
That's damn right. I did enough of the goddamn podcast episodes. I should remember the directors' names.
Yeah.
Even if I can't say them all correctly, I'm sorry. Like it feels like he wanted the studio to kind of just wrap up on their high, like, and not from a like, oh, no one else can do it, we can, but just like, like my legacy's there and whatever. But I'm hoping they've sort of changed their note now and be like, you know what, Studio Ghibli is Japan's Disney, and there's no reason for it not to continue and try new things and, expand and bring in new talent and whatever. I do think one of the biggest problems though is that one guy who was supposed to be the next horse in the Ghibli race went off and started his own studio and made that witch movie, whatever it was called. We talked about that.
Yeah.
What do you want to watch? Mary and the Witch, I think, right?
Mary and the Witch, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. So I feel like that was supposed to be their golden horse, but then he left them to start his own.
Yeah, to start
animation
Studio
studio.
Ponic, yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah. Karen, do you have any thoughts on the future of Studio Ghibli?
I guess it's always hard because with Studio Ghibli at the minute there's such a focused team, so they're generally only ever focusing on like that one project or and I haven't heard of anything about what Ghibli's doing during like the pandemic and stuff. I know Japan has it as a whole very under control. So I'm looking for somebody at Ghibli to kind of take the reins a little bit and steer it in a direction and kind of push down that direction and do a full movie again. I understand this was now that through this, knowing that it's supposed to be a TV movie, pushing through and finding out what is the next thing for Ghibli, what are the next characters.
Well, Hayao Miyazaki's next movie is called How Do You Live? We know
Currently
that.
slated 2023. So
yeah, we know he's been working on it for years. You can find key art, I guess, or like you can find concept art for that has been released. You can find out what it's about because it's based on a novel, even though presumably he's going to change the plot quite a lot. But if you want to look up the 1930 or 40 novel, whatever it is, you can. I've done that. You can't find too much about it because I think it's a Japanese novel, but I mean, you can Google around.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that they do other projects, like even like again co-productions with other companies. They did that Red Turtle film a few years back with a French studio, I believe, from memory. Yeah. So hopefully they continue to go on. I can't imagine that they would like full on shut everything, especially with like the museum and all the money they make off merch and that kind of stuff. I can't believe. I don't know who's in control of the Studio Ghibli. Like, is there a board or what is the business structure of that company? But yeah, I'm hopeful. I mean, would you guys be opposed to them doing a second Earwig film? Do you think that's on the cards?
I don't want it.
I don't think so.
You don't want it explained who the red lady is?
I think it's like by the time it comes out, I won't care for it to be explained.
Mm-hmm.
But then you'll be able to watch the first film and then go to the second film.
No, I don't want to watch that movie again.
Wow.
There you go.
All right. So at the end of our Studio Ghibli's Animated Wonders series, we did our full rankings of our Studio Ghibli films from 21 to number 1.
Oh.
Now we've got 22 Ghibli films. So I've asked the guys to readjust their lists with this new film, insert that in somewhere. So, Kieran, do you want to kick us off with your list?
With my list, okie dokie. 22, with My Neighbor the Martyrs. 21 is Tales from Earthsea. 20 will be Earwig and the Witch. And then I think the rest of my list is as normal, which follows as Only Yesterday, Ocean Waves, Pompoko, The Tale of Princess Kaguya, Castle in the Sky, Secret World of Ariete, The Cat Returns, When Marnie Was There, Kiki's Delivery Service, Princess Mononoke, Grave of the Fireflies, My Neighbor's Totoro, The Wind Rises, Whisper of the Heart, Porco Rosso, From Up on Poppy Hill, Ponyo, Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away.
Okay. Dylan, what's your new list look like?
All right, from 22, top 22, well, 22 Ghibli films ranked. Number 22, the worst Ghibli film, worst Gorō Miyazaki film, Tales from Earthsea. 21, Ocean Waves. 20 are fitted in Earwig and Witch there. So as amongst all the complaining, it's not even the worst. It's not the second worst. It's not even the worst straight to TV movie, according to me. That title still goes to Ocean Waves, and I rank this slightly above it. 19, I'll finish out my list. By the way, in case you haven't already, if you're listening to this on What Do You Want to Watch feed, if you want to find out why all these movies we're talking about got ranked the way they are, you should go listen to our podcast. Studio Ghibli's Animated Wonders. 19, My Name of the Yamadas. 18, The Cat Returns. 17, From Up on Poppy Hill. 16, Pompoko. 15, Castle in the Sky. 14, The Secret World of Arrietty. 13, Howl's Moving Castle. 12, Whisper of the Heart. 11, When Marnie Was There. 10, The Tale of Princess Kaguya. 9, Porco Rosso. 8, The Wind Rises. 7, Grave of the Fireflies. 6, Kiki's Delivery Service. 5, Princess Mononoke. 4, Only Yesterday. 3, Ponyo, like Sam. 2, My Neighbor Totoro. And 1, Spirited Away.
Okay. Interesting. Alright. My list.
You're going to have it at like 10th or some shit. And you're going to have fucking Grave of Fireflies below it. And then me and Kieran are coming over to fucking Queensland. We're going to stab you through the fucking face.
Yeah, we really are. Like, it's fucking... It is like, ugh.
22, Tales from Earthsea. 21, Grave of the Fireflies. 20, Ocean Waves.
I fucking hate you so much. You're a piece of shit.
19, My Neighbor the Yamadas. 18, The Cat Returns. 17, Earwig and the Witch.
Wow.
16, Castle in the Sky.
17. Fuck me.
Yeah. 15, When Marley Was There. 14, Pompoko. 13, The Secret World of Arrietty. 12, Only Yesterday. 11, From Up on Poppy Hill. 10, The Wind Rises. 9, Spirited Away. 8, My Neighbor Totoro. 7, Whisper of the Heart. 6, The Tale of Princess Kaguya. 5, Kiki's Delivery Service. 4, Porco Rosso. 3, Ponyo. 2, Howl's Moving Castle. And 1, the proper answer, Princess Mononoke. So yeah. Go back, listen to Studio Ghibli's Animated Wonders. I guess specifically listen to the Grave of the Fireflies episode, because apparently that's a lot of fun. If you...
There's that one review we've got on the podcast where this guy's like, these people fucking hate Japanese people and this podcast sucks. And I'm pretty sure it's because that guy got to the episode 2 where you shat all over fucking Grave of Fireflies and this guy left a raging review.
I pointed out one major problem with the film that ruined it, took me out of it completely and just lost me the entire time. But yes. Yeah. I guess that brings us to the end of this What Do You Want to Watch Spoilercast. Let us know what you thought of Earwig and the Witch, or what your rankings are for the Studio Ghibli films, or what you want to hear us do a spoilercast for by going to telling us on Twitter by going to explosion.com/Twitter, or you can let us know on our Discord by going to explosion.com/Discord. Leave us a review on Twitter, Apple Podcasts, or on Podchaser. Or if you like the show and you thought it was worth $1, head on over to our Ko-fi page at explosionnetwork.com/support and buy us a coffee. Thank you very much for listening, and until next time, keep watching stuff, I guess.
It's like I knew that hurt was coming, but he still fucking said it.